Perfect. Episode 4, Champions Code podcast, hosted by Cody Lorendi. My guest this evening, Phoenix Rising Zone, Greg Hurst. Greg, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you, first and foremost, for taking the time. Really appreciate this. Coming off of a pretty strong first impression in the USL Championship. Team of the week, a goal and an assist. I don't know if you could have started any stronger, but kudos to you, kudos to the team. Obviously, coming out the gates firing. First question, I guess, probably leads in quite nicely is the buildup into preseason. Obviously, we want to. I say we. You and the team want to keep this good run of form going over the entirety of the season. But talk to us about the importance of a strong preseason, laying that foundation, getting to know your teammates obviously getting to know you, and what that process was like.
I think having a strong preseason, whether it's just doing the right things. It's funny, you look at Phoenix's preseason last year. Obviously, they struggled to win games and then went on and had a great season in the championship. This year, it was another strong performance in preseason. Managed to get a lot more wins and against good opposition as well. The only game we lost was to Houston Dynamo, and it was our first preseason game, and I think it was their last one as well. And we had players that had just got in, like myself. I was only there for 2 days and I was down playing. And then, to be honest, I think the most important thing, obviously, aside from getting fit, is getting the new players integrated with the squad. I've said that a couple of times that this is the easiest group of players I've ever found to integrate with. Every single one of them has been first class. From Darnell, obviously, new captain, one of the first guys I met. I can sing his praise high enough for what he done for me when I came in, made me just feel comfortable. Obviously, I came in a little bit before preseason just to meet a few of the guys and get a couple training sessions in. And then when I came back later in preseason, the whole squad's there. Go right from the top to the bottom, from Rick to all the trainers and stuff. Everyone took time out of their day to make sure I was settling in well. Not just me, the rest of the boys that came in. And I think leading on to that first game of the season, obviously I think that showed. We had a couple of new guys playing their first game in the season opener, and in that performance we all gelled together really well. And it's nice, like, getting to, because we had a big squad, you get to do 2 11s on the same day for 2 different games. Right. So you get a chance to play with every player in the team, and it's just about building relationships with all the players and figuring out their style of play and how it's different from last year, or what I'd done last year that fits into the system. And I think that was probably the best thing for me, is there's a lot of similarities from the way I played last year that they wanted me to bring this year again. And there's obviously a few things they want me to add to my game, which is perfect because that's developing me as a player. But to have that initial thing, little sequences or types of runs, or the way they want me to play, it fits what I'd done last year really well. So it's easy for me. It's not easy, but it's easier for me to come into that system and not feel like I'm in a totally different world. And then when you've got the quality of players that I've got around me right now, they raise you at that level. It's either sink or swim. Right. So you usually you want to swim, but it's been great. I've enjoyed every minute I've been here so far.
So you're talking about a couple of things that I think are going to be crucial for the listener to hear. The learning curve not being as steep in terms of it's a clear what your roles and responsibilities within the team are. And I've had the experience, you've had the experience, I'm sure, where you go into a team environment and that's not ironed out, right? And everybody's kind of, they're not on the same page, essentially. And that is not a prerequisite. That does not lead to much success. So it's clear from, myself, the outside viewer looking in, yes, it's a small sample size of one match, but it's evident that the work that you've done in setting that base, setting that foundation within preseason has really, really shown early dividends, on the field. Tell us about why it's important to, you talked about how, Darnell, obviously wonderful human being, first and foremost, incredible player, but wonderful human. Aiden is another one, right? Aiding in that process of you moving from Omaha, right, in that market, and coming into Phoenix, and how making you feel a part of something early has really helped you settle in to your role.
Well, I think even, literally hours after the decision was made and the contract was signed, I had a text from Darnell and Aiden saying, heard about the move, heard you're joining us next year, and if there's anything you need before you come out, like, let us know, or anything you want to make you feel more comfortable when you come out, just hit us up. Don't be afraid to ask. So straight away, you know that you're going in. And the thing is, like, a lot of people can send these messages and that's it, but these guys, it's genuine with these guys. And Aiden and Darnell are just the first examples. The minute I turned up, everybody from, like, the admin guys to picking me up from the airport, making sure that I was sorted with a place to stay. Some people think that that's like kind of a given, but you know what it's like in USL. Sometimes that's not. You have to figure your own stuff out sometimes, which isn't a problem. But like, as soon as I came here, they gave me all the foundations to be comfortable. And then just going on from that, like, I've had a few people message me and asking, like, oh, what are the guys like at Phoenix? Because obviously it's a big club. There's a lot of big players. People assume there's big egos there, and it couldn't be further from the truth. Everybody is just, that's one thing we stress every day when we talk as a team, like how it's a family, and that team, the team wouldn't have had the success it's had if it wasn't like that. If you've got egos clashing constantly, that leads to, like, off the field, that leads to issues on the field as well. And like I said, the success they have had came from the fact that, from what I've heard and what I've experienced, everybody's in it together. Yes. It's all about us and what we want to do. And to fit into that, you just have to buy in. You just have to be like, okay, I'm here now, I'm a Phoenix player, and these are my brothers, this is my family. And it's good to be a part of, because when you go out on a Saturday, everybody's going to back you up. You've got another 10 guys in the field, and then everybody on the bench or in the stands that wants you to do well, and you want everybody else to do well, because the better everyone does, the better we do. So yeah, that's really helped with the transition, because you'll know as well, like, going into a new soccer club, a locker room full of 24, 25 guys, it can be quite intimidating.
It's like the first day of school.
Exactly. Obviously, I'm fortunate enough. That's where, we've touched on, like, my loan spells before. I've had a lot of loan spells when I was back in the UK.
Right.
But I was constantly going into new locker rooms, and the first couple of times, and the first time I went to St Johnstone, you meet the first team guys that you watched on TV, and it's like you get a bit, not starstruck, but it takes you a while to settle in. Sure. So I'm lucky that I've had those experiences. On the playing side, things didn't work out, but it gave me the experiences to be able to come into an environment like this and not feel nervous or anxious. Of course, you still get a little bit nervous. Your first couple of weeks at practice, you want to prove that you're good enough to be there. Especially, that was my big thing coming from League One. I know a lot of people are going to have questions, and it's just natural. When you take a step up, people are going to ask if are they ready? Is he good enough? You have to have the self-confidence that you are. And that's what Rick tells us all the time. We're there for a reason. We wouldn't be there if we weren't good enough, or he didn't see something in us. So the whole kind of, my previous experiences and how easy the transition was has made it perfect for me.
Wonderfully said. Wonderfully said. Let's we're gonna rewind it a little bit. I want you to talk about the early experience of being released. Mm-hmm. Okay. What that, and try to place yourself back in that time frame mentally, and then also fast forward. How have you, as a human being, I'd say, emotionally matured now?
I think for me, it's easy to take myself back to that mindset, because for me, it's the lowest point I've been in my career and in just personal life. Yeah, I really struggled for a while leading up to the release and after it, because I could kind of tell it was coming with the way I was, having to train with the youth team or getting left out of the 11s at the end of training because there was too many numbers or whatever. And, everybody has a gut feeling, and mine was, I don't think this is going to work out for me here. So I get called into the gaffer's office, and to be fair to him, he just explained, he was like, we've got a lot of strong players in your position. I feel like at the time my style of play didn't fit the mold at that club, which is fine, that happens.
Right.
But at that age, I was 21 at the time, just about to turn 22, and I'd been professional for 3 or 4 years, so mentally I felt like I was strong,
right.
But I had never really had a major setback.
Right.
When I was 14, 15, getting released from pro youth because I was too small or something like that. And at the time it sucks, but you're 14 or 15, you got everything ahead of you.
Correct.
At 2021 now, and then, you see kids break through into first teams, play at the highest level possible. They're winning all these trophies, and you think, well, for me to have a real chance, I should be playing. Like, I have to play at the top level. So the day I got released, I remember going home and just, I was sad, but I was like, no, it'll be fine. A couple of weeks later, you're totally out of the routine. You don't have a job anymore.
Right.
My job was to play professional football, so I had the best job in the world, and I'd lost it. And I really started to think, once you get out of the routine, that's when it hit me the most. Like, I wasn't getting up to go to practice every day, or I wasn't playing a game every Saturday or Tuesday night. And I remember I think I went on a night out with my friends, and I came home, and my dad and my brother were there, and they were just like, are you good? You just don't seem happy. And I was like, I remember just having like an internal breakdown, and I was like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, I could go and get a job, I could go back to college, and I'd be fine.
Right.
But I want to play.
Right.
And I don't know at my age, is it too late to get back into a professional setup? I went the opposite way for a while, where I was thinking that could be it. To the point where I was considering just giving up, and I wasn't going to go back to full time. I was going to go part time, get a job, and then see where I went from there.
Right.
But my brother, my dad, my mom, everybody was like, we believe in you. You still have the chance to go and do something in football. Go part time, just go and enjoy it again. I think that was the main thing for me. Go and enjoy playing.
Yes.
Train twice a week. Go make new friends in the football world, and you see what happens after 3 or 4 months. See what happens. So I went to a part-time club called Stenhousemuir, who were kind of struggling in League One at the time. And we ended up getting relegated, but I went there and fell in love with football again, because
you probably fell in love with yes.
Every day it was competitive. Every Tuesday, Thursday, you have guys coming home from long labor shifts or working in the office, and they just wanted to enjoy themselves. So it was always fun. Game day on a Saturday, no matter what level you play at, everybody wants to win.
Right.
I remember coming on my debut and scoring, and I was just like, that feeling. It was in front of like 100 people, right. And I felt like I'd scored in the biggest stadium in the world. And that feeling of scoring a goal, that's when I kind of realized, like, I can't give up, because I want that feeling all the time. Right. And then, whether you call it fate or whatever, someone at the club knew the assistant manager at Chattanooga at the time, and just said, how do you fancy America? And I was like, I'm looking for a fresh start. So what's more of a fresh start than going to a different continent, to a totally different country, and just go and try my luck. So I went home, had a discussion with my mum and dad about it. My mum was all for it straight away. She's like, go and do it. And my dad was like, if that's what you want to do, we're going to support you. Came out here 2.5, 3 years ago, and I've not really looked back since.
Class. That's that real life experience, I think, is going to help a lot of people, especially the younger generation that listen to this, because the through line, and we're only 4 episodes in with here, but the through line that we have with every player that I've spoken with, it's not been this upwards ascension into success. It's been a little success, a setback, little success. And the idea being consistency and persistence win out in the end, right? And you're gonna go through crap, right? Maybe you feel hard done, maybe all these things are gonna happen to you, but you've you kind of showed your resolve, right? You realized, oh man, I really love this, and I can't give it up yet, and I'm going to do everything I possibly can to kind of take this as far as I can. And I think that's important for people to see, because they see you as, the USL Championship, Phoenix Rising, Greg Hurst. They don't know about the opposite side, and I think that is something that humanizes you to people, where it's like, hey, no, this was not this upwards ascension into success. This was a lot of hard graft, and I'm only here because I refuse to give up, and I refuse to pack it in, and I want to, squeeze every ounce out of my ability as I possibly can. So that's incredibly inspiring, man. How do you
just to touch on the second part of the question as well, is like that experience now gives me the foundation that, if I do receive a setback, even my second year at Chattanooga, I feel like we should have competed for a championship. We didn't make the playoffs. And I had a chance in the last game to score. I had a 1v1 and I missed, and that was us out. But having known that I'd been in a bad place before, I was like, okay, season's over, can't do anything about it now.
Right.
I'll go and get ready in the off season. I'll come back and, I'll try and, hopefully I have the chance again to do something similar.
Right.
Try and redo it. And luckily enough, I went to a team that challenged for a championship. Obviously, we went on to win it, and I had those chances again. And some of them I missed, of course, everybody does, but some of them I took. And for me, it was, I've been in that place before. I've felt like that before, even worse. But reflecting on that time in my life, it was easy for me to be like, okay, I've overcame it before, like worse than what I'm going through now. So it gives you that kind of internal strength to be like,
nice.
You've done it before, we can do it again, come out of it. And it develops you more as a player, but also as a person. And I think that's the biggest thing for me coming to America, was I developed so much more as a human than a soccer player.
Right.
I definitely, there's a lot of things to my game now that I didn't have before I came out, but as a person, and that's one thing, every time I go home in the off season, my mom and dad are always like, you're just a totally different person now than you were before. Because I've came out, I've lived on my own for a year and a half, or I've moved, I've went to different states, a lot of things that I wouldn't do back home.
Right.
So definitely developing as a person helps you develop in whatever field you're in as well.
Spot on. You're spot on. You talked about it. You've had experience at the USL League One level, both Chattanooga and most recently Omaha. Tell me about those experiences. What similarities you have with the League One experience, and then obviously what for the players that'll listen to this, what are the differences between League One and the championship?
I think obviously I've been here for like 6-7 weeks now, so we've still got a long season ahead, but I think there's similarities in the way teams play, the way some organizations are set up. Obviously you have, at all levels, you have clubs at the top and clubs that aren't as well established. That's not being negative towards anybody, but that's just how it is. It's like that all over the world. And I think in League One, it's like a lot of teams are kind of closer in that regard. But in this championship, the teams are further ahead than other teams.
Right.
For me, the biggest difference I noticed was just the expectation every day to come in, and we have a big squad and we have a lot of good players. If you're not performing day in, day out, there's someone next to you that's just as good, if not better than you, that can take your place. Obviously that was the same case at League One, but some of the squads aren't big enough where you can get by and you're going to play every week. But I think you have to have the right mindset in both leagues, because they're both difficult leagues. Obviously I've only played one game in the championship, but having trained with a championship side for a decent amount of time now, you start to understand the expectations. And that's where I'd say it's similar in League One. Everybody expects to go and win. It's a small league. Everybody has a chance. And I think one of the best things for me last year was the consistency of, maybe my last 2 years is probably the most consistent I've been. And that was always one thing that coaches would bring up to me when I was younger that, you know, one game I'd have a brilliant game and the next week I was non-existent. So it was, for me, it was building up consistency, because I knew I was good enough to play well, but I was doing it week in, week out. And week one really gave me that platform to go and be someone who can consistently perform week in, week out. And of course you're going to have bad games. No one plays 28, 30 perfect games a year. But it really gave me the platform to go in and, you know, give me the opportunity to take my career and put it in my own hands and just be like, okay, I'm going to do everything I can to get to the highest level possible now.
Class. Consistency.
Yeah.
Consistency, man. That's that word, that, you know, the let's say the modern day player, it's, you don't want to be a 10 on one day and a 3 the next, right? From a coaching standpoint, nobody's going to trust you.
Yeah.
You know, so learning consistency and being that, let's say 8 out of 10 every single time you step on the pitch, that's a prerequisite for long-term sustained success, which I know you'll continue to have. You know, this past offseason, talk to us about, one, not just making the jump from USL League One to the championship, but as much as you're comfortable sharing, how much patience did it really take? Where was your head at? Obviously, knowing you're going to have suitors, right? But you know, the league finishes, and you probably don't really get, I mean, in the experience that you know took place this past offseason, between the end of the season and the actual offer coming through, it's a long period of time. So talk to us about, one, being quote unquote a free agent, and then two, you know, who you leaned on, what went into the decision-making process to get you to Phoenix.
I think that since I've came out to America and the off seasons are longer, it really does open your eyes, because obviously I've played for 2 teams in 3 years. Being an international player, you have to have a visa to be in the country. Right. So, you know, when you leave the country and you have nothing to come back to, but you want to come back, it's scary. You know, you're flying home and you're excited because you get to see your family and your friends that you've not seen in 9 months or 10 months, but you don't know if you're going to fly back.
Right.
For me, I wanted to come out here and make it, not just for a year or two. Like, I wanted to come out here and really make this my home and try and get as high as possible in this country and do as well as I can in this country, because it was a fresh start for me. So that's the scary part of it. And then, you know, this year obviously had a good year. We win the league, we win the championship. So you're thinking, you know, it's kind of like a breakout season for me. And I'm thinking, you know, it's surely there's something coming. Like, surely, you know, I want to take that next step. I feel like I'm ready. But the season ends and you don't hear anything for a couple of weeks.
Right.
Not to worry. Like, you know, obviously we had conversations throughout the season and we're like, you know, there's a little bit of interest here. There's nothing concrete, but, you know, they're looking at you. And then maybe you do get an offer through and it's not what you were expecting. And it's difficult because, you know, you want to go and play at the next level, but you don't want to just take the first offer that comes, because at the end of the day, you have to take the right one for you. Yes. And obviously, you know, our situation at the time was, you know, we went 3 or 4 weeks with, there was little bits here and there, right. And then it was dead for a week or two. Yeah. Then you start getting closer to Christmas time and you're like, still got nothing here. Like, my visa's running out. Like, I have to go home. There's nothing. And then, in my case, from personal experience, it was almost like over the course of 2 or 3 days, everything happened at once.
Right.
So you went from having nothing and no decisions to make, to all of a sudden you have a ton of decisions to make.
Right.
You know?
You're weighing pros and cons of like 3 or 4 different. Yeah.
I was privileged enough to have options. You know, a lot of people
right.
don't get multiple options, and you know, then you start having to think, you know, where can I play my best football? Where do I want to live? I want to live somewhere where I can not worry about, you know, walking down the street at night, or
of course,
when I drink with my girlfriend or the boys in the team.
Of course.
Where does my girlfriend want to live? Like,
yes,
because you'll know as well, when you're playing in America and you have to move, it's not just, you can move cross country, and it's a
Yeah, you're
long
not
way away.
hopping on the train and take 30 minutes away, right? It's
To, I'm lucky enough I have someone in my life who is willing to make the move with me, for me. But it's also, I want to go somewhere where they can come and enjoy it as well.
right.
It's just about me, especially at my age now. Like, I'm getting older, so you need to start thinking for the future.
Right.
And fortunate for me, I found, when we got the call from Phoenix, it was almost like, okay, well, like that's that then.
Right. Because everything's magnified.
Yeah,
right?
and that is the thing for me, when I found out that was an option, because I got so attracted to it so quickly. I was like, it was like my gut telling me that,
Yeah.
I think that's the right move for me.
Yeah.
And obviously, since I've came here, things can change. It's a long season, it's a lot of things can happen in this sport, but from that moment to now, it was a great decision on my part, because I feel like this is somewhere where already I feel like I'm improving, and it's another place, it's another state, it's another life change, and I'm enjoying it. I'm happy. I can go to practice every day with a smile on my face, because I enjoy where I am, I enjoy the players I play with, and everything just kind of seemed to fit. But those 4 or 5 weeks when you're not hearing anything, and especially for international players, when you have to leave the country, and like I said, you might not be coming back, it's a difficult thing, especially when you have a girlfriend here that you could be leaving, and you're like, I don't know when I'm going to see you again. And then going through the whole processes of getting visas, getting flights back. I came into preseason late because of COVID and stuff. It's hard to get a visa right now.
Of course.
But again, the club really helped me with that, and they had the resources to kind of make it easier for me. I didn't have to worry about anything. And obviously I'm very grateful for that.
Love that. So you kind of you hit on at various points throughout the conversation. Your initial thoughts on Phoenix, not just as the organization, but as a place to live. You feel comfortable. It's safe. The missus enjoys it. What has stood out, not just within the community, but have you had much interaction with the supporter section, the supporters just in general of the club? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, a little bit. I think when it really hit me was when we walked out for the first game on Saturday, and a lot of the players were like, the fans are kind of crazy. Like, and they're the kind of fan base that, when if you're not doing well, they'll let you know, which I love. I think that's something that can drive players on. But obviously scoring after 2 minutes in the home opener, everybody's right behind you from that moment on. So you have that rush of adrenaline, and the noise in the stadium with the pyro going off and everything, all the smoke bombs and the flags, the tifo, everything just makes you think like, okay, this is the real deal. Like, these supporters love this club. Yes. And then at the end of the game, when you're going around and you're signing stuff for kids, or you're meeting the fans, and they're just so genuine, and they want you to do well. And then even when we done the jersey reveal, we got to spend 30-40 minutes just mingling with the fans, and I lost count of how many people came up and were like, I'm really, really happy you're here, like, hope you do really well. And that for me just makes you feel comfortable. I know I have to go out and impress not just my teammates and my coaches, but you want to impress the fans as well. You want to entertain them. Right. For them to come up to me and say that they were happy that I was there kind of puts you at ease a little bit, and it makes you feel more comfortable.
Of course. No, that's important to hear too, because these people spend their hard-earned money, right, to come see you and come support you. And as we know, as we got a firsthand education in it, without fans, atmosphere is just brutal at times. So I think that's wonderfully said, that they've been able to make a positive impact on you from day one. Yeah. This has been excellent, dude. I don't want to take up more of your time, but I do. I want to hit on some short and long-term goals that you have for yourself. Mm-hmm. They could be football related, or just life in general. just to get to know you more as a person, and I know people are going to take great, going to have great appreciation after listening to you and how articulate you are about the experience as a whole. So just hit on, before we finish up, some short and long-term goals that you have for yourself.
I think short term for me is, looking at this season, it's do everything I can to help Phoenix rise and do something they've not done before, and that's win a championship. The playoffs, I think that's everybody's goal this year.
Yes.
Whether it's anything, like, because you don't know at the start of the season how often you might play or how many goals you're going to score or how you're going to help the team, but anything I can do to get us to that. I know we've got a fantastic group of players that if everybody does their little bit, there's no reason why we can't. Long term is just, reach my full potential, whatever that is. I want to look back on my career and think, there's not much more I could have done.
Right.
It's not about, everybody wants to get to the highest level.
Right.
At whatever they do, sport or, whatever job you have. And if I finished after this year and I look back and I was like, you know what, I gave everything I could and I had a great career at the end of it.
Right.
I'd be happy. Obviously, I want to prolong that for as long as possible and go on, and everybody wants to go on and achieve great things. But I think long term is just reach my full potential and be satisfied with, the career that I have. And then beyond that, I want to have a life after football. I don't want to just finish my career and that's it. Greg Hurst played football. I want to go.
Right.
I love coaching and stuff, so I want to go into that kind of side of things and try and help young kids develop, and try and put them on the right path to give everything they want to the sport, because I think it's so important right now, especially in America where it's a growing game. Right. Where kids now want to play soccer. You have 3 of the biggest sports in the world here, and soccer's not in the top 3 here. Right now, where you leave America and it's football. Everybody plays football.
Exactly.
So I definitely want to get into that side of things once I finish playing. Outside of football, probably want to get my handicap down a little bit and golf. You couldn't ask for a better place to come play golf. But
it's incredible. It's incredible.
But yeah, I think I think the reaching the potential one is the biggest one for me, because no one knows your potential. Really, people can say like, oh, he's got great potential, or I want to, like I said, I want to get to that point in my career where I'm like, yeah, I feel like that's where I should be at. Right. I think coming here this year is a great step in terms of giving myself another platform to go and show potential or reach that potential. And I think that's the big one for me. Class as always. Greg, you're incredibly easy to root for. Honestly, you deserve all the success that's coming your way. Wishing and hoping for more of it. I'll be supporting from afar. Enjoy it this weekend. Vegas away? Yeah, Vegas away. Stay off the strip, all right? Yeah, I'll do my best. All right. Well, thank you again, and good luck this season. All right, brother? Oh, man, thank you. Of course.